I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what today is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. Of what a good day is. What a good day is.
All right, y'all.
And that's exactly what today is.
We are back at it, back in the building. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. Oh my gosh, we did it. We made it. We made it to the show, man. Hey, listen. Sometimes you just gotta push through and persevere, and we're in here, man. Oh, and we're looking all crispy and clean on the screen. Wow. It wouldn't be a Monday without something going down. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the Music Morning Show. I'm your host, Classy Beats, classybeats.com. Today we're gonna get into it. We've actually got a couple of live streams we're gonna look at, things that are going on here in Fulton County. We're gonna hear from Fanny, see if she's on her BS today. She's actually live right now in the press conference. We're gonna go straight to that, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about what's going on with a couple of the remaining defendants. Of course, y'all know YSL Nard, shout out to Nard, and then Christian Eppinger. We're gonna go into the history of that. Supposed to have a couple of hearings today, but we've got some updates there for you we're gonna give. But first, I have to say what's up to the people, man. Good morning to y'all. Woo! Happy Monday, y'all. It wouldn't be a Monday without something going on, but we're here. Shout out to my awesome, amazing Amy is in the building. Always good to see you, Amy. Thank you for everything that you do. I love and appreciate you. We've got Gwen in here, Ashley, Alexis Lee, Walter Waller Custom Leather. We got Trisha in the building. Miss 86 is in here. My dog Rice Street's up in the building. Libby. Sue says, is it over? No, we're here, Sue. All right, we're just taking our time. Thank y'all for sticking with me, man. We got Valencia in the building. Oh my goodness, Dr. EJ is up in here too. Always good to see you, Dr. EJ. Appreciate everything that you do. We got Taco Tuesday in here a day early. Ryan S. Suzanne. Good to see you. We've got Michi is back at it. Les Cleaver, my guy, Ryan S. Good to see you. Who else is up in here? Tracy Fegan. We've got John. Salute, sir. Thank you for your service. Just Lee, Black Butterfly. We've got Gerald is in here. Axel Wheel. Who else? Monteresa, Jessica, Alex. Oh my goodness. We got everyone. Charlene. Who did I miss? Linfinity is back at it as well. Thank y'all for being here, man. And shout out to everybody who's showing love. Hopefully y'all had a good weekend. I know we got some crazy snow over the weekend here in Atlanta. Kids were loving it. It was amazing. And thankfully there wasn't anything too crazy. We still got we still had power. Everything was smooth, but hopefully y'all are doing well wherever you are. And still prayers go out to everyone that's dealing with the fires out in California. Absolutely insane. Just it looks like I don't know. It looks amazing out there. And if y'all aren't praying for them, please send your thoughts and prayers. And if there's anybody here who's dealing with some of the fire issues that are going on up there, please let us know how we can help. I know someone mentioned the Red Cross. I'll definitely be doing my part to help out there. So I appreciate y'all being here as well. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. I know I kept y'all waiting long enough, but I do have to shout out everybody who supported so far. I appreciate y'all, man. We've got Cindy White in here. Shout out to Cindy, just became a new member. My guy Dr. EJ in the building. Gotta give him a round of applause. And shout out to Dr. EJ. Day one, since day one, he found out about this channel. He's been in here consistently supporting, consistently showing love, consistently gifting memberships and support and keeping the lights on here in the Music Morning Show. Dr. EJ, I cannot thank you enough for the support you have shown. And thank you for everything that you do. Such a valuable member of this community and a valuable member in my life. You know what I'm talking about. Shout out to Dr. EJ, man. Y'all show him some love and type Dr. EJ in the chat. And if you got one of those 5 memberships from Dr. EJ, please make sure that you say thank you. Also, last thing, and then we'll go ahead and get into this press conference from Fannie and the mayor of Atlanta. If y'all could, make sure you like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, not only does it help the show continue to grow, but it lets the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show, and it shares the video and the channel with more people. So if y'all could do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. We're going to fade this music out and see what Fannie Willis is talking about. Let's get into it, and thank y'all again for the love. Also, before we get into it, someone mentioned, oh, there it is. Nino Brown said, for the California fires, the Red Cross is cool, but I can send some local spots that are helping us. What's your IG? It's Classy Beats. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, just Classy Beats. You can find me at Classy Beats everywhere. And let me know how we can support. Blissful comment, always an amazing music on this show. I appreciate it, and shout out to everybody who supports the music too, and shout out to Dr. EJ. All right, here we go. So we're gonna get into it. Fannie Willis is having a press conference live right now with the mayor of Atlanta. Now they're gonna get into some of the things that are going on here, specifically in Fulton County in the Atlanta area, talking about the crime rate and statistics. Y'all know numbers, especially when it comes to crime, don't tell the entire story. And that's proof, obviously, based on what we saw in the YSL trial and how that was handled by the DA's office. But we'll get into it. I'm going to let the mayor of Atlanta and Fannie Willis talk, and we'll see what they're talking about, how things are looking here in Fulton County. Let's see.
Director.
All right, here we go.
Come on around, everybody. Get this close to the edge. And why did I touch this? All righty. Well, you guys could come around. It's like you're in a cafeteria line. Here we go. All right, good deal. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming out today. We ask that you join us today to talk about last year's crime report, and we will get to that in a second. But first, let's talk about this weekend's snow events. I wanted to make sure that we go over just a few of those highlights. I wanted to really thank the team, all of the team here at the City of Atlanta, the employees and our partners. All those people really worked tirelessly to ensure that our residents could safely return to their normal lives, back to work and school this morning. A special thank you to the men and women of the ATL DOT department, Commissioner Cavanis and his team, for all the salt and brine and plowing work that they did to make sure that the roadways were clear, in conjunction with Georgia Department of Transportation, the Governor's Office, Georgia Power, and of course the Mayor's Office of Emergency Preparedness, and so many of our departments and teams, including Grady and Fulton County. Their dedication ensured that our roads were prepared for ice and snow so that people could travel today. And dozens of us were together in our Joint Operations Center for about 50 hours over 2.5 days, from 8 o'clock Thursday night to midnight Sunday, coordinating efforts to address challenges and prioritize the safety of our residents. We opened 4 warming centers to protect our most vulnerable residents, those experiencing homelessness. We accommodated more than 400 people with warm meals, beds, and essential services. We basically utilized our resources with Fulton County, our Partners for Home, Office of Constituent Services, as well as the HOPE team at the APD. Watershed repaired a number of water main breaks, 28 incidents, and they all were recovered very quickly during this snow event. And again, ATL DOT treated 100% of our priority roads, bridges, and critical infrastructure. So this weekend went very well. We had more snowfall this weekend than we did in 2014, but the response was significantly different. We were more coordinated, more prepared, and we communicated better. And so when I say one safe city, it's about all of the above. This reminds us that this is not just about crime and policing, but it's also about the overall public safety and well-being of our residents. When I took office, our top priority, as I stated, was to make Atlanta the safest large metropolitan city in America, and we are well on that path. We're making significant improvements in all categories of safety, whether that's crime, you'll hear about that today, but even with pedestrians, cyclists, etc. And so when I say one safe city, it is demonstrated when Atlanta Fire Rescue responds to tens of thousands of calls that aren't even fire related. Many of the calls they took in 2024 were health-related services, demonstrating their commitment to protecting the lives of our citizens. One Safe City is about the 22% fewer lives lost due to fire in 2024 than previous years. That's a testament to our firefighters, their readiness, their equipment, their training, and improved fire prevention. It's about residents feeling confident in our emergency response system, with 911 dispatchers cutting their answer time in half this year. And I know Chief is going to talk more about that. This is ensuring that help arrives faster. One Safe City is about responding to emergencies, but it is also about prevention and preparedness. And building the city that we love is where residents feel secure in their homes, on their streets, at their nightlife, and in their parks and in their community. Training plays a role in that, which is why I'm happy that we have finished construction on the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center and are now moving in so that firefighters, police officers, EMS can be prepared to even be better at servicing our public. We are here to—
All right, now that's nice, Andre, but we're going to keep it moving. I know y'all really want to hear from Fanny, right? Because I know that people have some questions for Fanny, so we're going to see what the chief has to say a little bit, and then we'll get into Fanny a little bit here in a second.
That has been showing dividends of individuals joining our department and staying with the department. But I want to thank you for what you did that didn't cost you a dime. That was when you stood at the bedside of officers of this city who had been shot in the line of duty. That is when you called them and checked on them. That is when you go to roll calls when you don't have to say thank you. And when the men and women are ethical and constitutional and do what's right, you stand behind them, because this is a difficult job. And I'm proud of everyone that does the job of the Atlanta police officer. And thank you, Mayor, for standing behind them. And in addition to our sworn personnel, we added a new CARES unit. When you leave, take a picture as you go. You may have seen it in the snow this weekend. These are the black and green trucks that are out. These are civilian members, just like the state's HERO unit, that are providing key assistance to citizens who call 911. Since they've been in service since July, they've responded to 2,367 calls and completed 1,608 reports. That if it were not for them, a sworn officer would have been dispatched to it and the citizen would have had to wait longer. Another investment of our mayor this year to make sure that we are a safe city. Here's what we need from the community. We need you to please continue to, when you see something, say something. Call Crime Stoppers. Please continue to register your cameras with Connect Atlanta. We currently have 22,000 cameras registered and 20,000 integrated. Join the Mayor's No More campaign. We saw in the second half of the year the domestic violence homicides starting to drop because of the No More campaign. We need you to know who is in a dangerous and toxic relationship and help them.
During this press conference, guys, I want y'all to listen very specifically to the words that are used. Notice the chief said domestic homicides. This is not overall homicides. There's a reason he's choosing domestic homicide specifically. We've seen this with politicians. We see this even in reporting of businesses, right? They'll pick some of the numbers that they best performed in. They'll say, oh, we gained this many, this many users on our platform. And oh, we generated this much income. But when it comes to profit, well, that's probably a negative number, right? So when he says domestic homicides, there's a reason he chose that.
Because of the No More campaign. We need you to know who is in a dangerous and toxic relationship and help them get out of there. And put down your weapons. Be a peacemaker in your community. Be a peacemaker in your family. In just a few minutes, we're going to announce who won the Crime Reduction Award. You all are some great journalists I see around. You've probably already deduced who has won the Crime Reduction Award. But we're going to let there be a little bit of anticipation when we recognize the zone with the best reduction. And it's my privilege now to turn over to the podium our District Attorney, Bonnie Willis.
Good morning and Happy New Year.
Oh, sorry. I
am here to thank Mayor Dickens this morning. Your appointment of Chief Shearbaum, I have told you over and over again, it has been one of the greatest things you've done during your administration because he has been an amazing partner with the District Attorney's Office. But I also want to recognize Chief Operating Officer LaShondra Burks and Teresa Austin-Gibbons, who directs the Mayor's Youth Summer Employment Program. Those things are important because you and I have had discussions many times that it is not just about locking up the bad guys, but making sure that our children have opportunities. I'm especially excited this morning that you have brought the great director, Gary Davis, here of Next Level Boys Academy. Me and him have history. We go back to my days as an assistant district attorney, and in fact, I can remember the time that he came into my office asking that a young man who was charged with armed robbery be given a second opportunity. And if he was given that opportunity, watch through the work of his program, him change that young man's life around. And so we took a chance on one young man, and over the years, that has now become in excess of 1,000 young men doing the right thing, not the wrong thing. And so to have him here today is a very important gesture. It really is a great program that gives our children great opportunity. The statistics that you're hearing about today, I don't want you to get lost. You're journalists, and people get caught up in the numbers. Those are lives saved. Last year, we lost 44 less people than the year before. That's 44 less mamas that had to bury their children. We should never lose sight of what these crime reductions mean. It's hundreds of less people that were victimized, on the other side of a gun or violence of some kind, taking their property. These are actual human beings that now are not facing trauma that they have to deal with for the rest of their lives. And this because of the initiatives of you, Chief Shearbaum, and certainly you, Mayor, by appointing this great man in this great office. But we've done it in a very strategic way. The first thing that we used in strategy was just working together. That seemed something pretty simplistic, right? The District Attorney's Office, community organizations, and the police department working together. But not very many years ago, those things were in complete dysfunction. And so,
okay, well, if we're going to talk about many years ago, I have to let y'all know this about Atlanta specifically. Since Fani Willis has been in office, the homicide rates, not the domestic violence homicides or whatever the chief wants to talk about, the chief of Atlanta, but homicides have nearly doubled since Fani Willis has been in office. So again, I said, I want y'all to be very careful about and listening to the words that are being used and the phrases that are being used, because there's certain things being left out for a reason.
I enjoy this friendship now to solve crime and to make our safer city. What you need to understand is over the past year, we have charged over 300 gang members. That effort has been a multiplier because we are removing the worst repeat offenders from our community. And we've done that in combination with the City of Atlanta Police Department, by making sure that the officers are better trained, by making sure the attorneys are better trained. We've also worked with the Atlanta Police Foundation to invigorate our tracking unit, to make sure that our judges know who the repeat offenders are, because no one should get the idea that all young men are bad or all young men of color are bad. What we find when we look at the statistics is it's the same people committing crime over and over again. And if we can remove this very small segment for our society, the rest of the community can thrive by having programs like Gary Davis's Next Level Boys Academy. We also, not just taking a tough stance on gang members and looking at repeat offenders, but my office has done something, which has created the first ever pre-indictment diversion program, so that those in our community that make small mistakes are not derailed for the rest of their lives, but in fact can get back on their feet and become productive members of society. Also, the REACH program run through the Fulton County DA's office.
Fani Willis, oh man, this is the thing that angers me, because she's running off of this her whole campaign was on cleaning up the streets. These are why the homicide rates are so high. These are the same people who are committing these crimes. And now she seems to be backtracking and saying, well, it's not all of them. It's just the same people. Yet we see this entire record label, let's say, indicted on these crimes that weren't being committed by them at mass. There are other gangs and groups that weren't indicted, that don't have RICO charges. And there's other factors other than these gangs that she's running on because she just wants to throw RICO at everything that come into play here. And you can't say at the same time, okay, the majority of the issues we're having are because of gangs. And then on the other hand, say, well, it's not the specific demographic. It is a specific demographic, Fani, if that's what you're saying the problem is. So which one is it?
Shows children that gang members shouldn't be your heroes. Your heroes need to be people in the press, people that are in law enforcement, bankers, and great community leaders. Those are the people that we need you to look up to, and those are the people that you can actually become. But I have to mention today to you that while we are on a great trajectory to do more great things, the district attorney's office sits very concerned. And I would urge people, while I have this audience, to call your county commissioners while they are voting on their budget to make sure that law enforcement gets the dollars they need to do this work. Because the reality is, if the district attorney's office does not have the right amount of attorneys, the right amount of investigators, we cannot continue to excel and to make progress for our city. We cannot continue to enjoy a safe city. And so it requires not just a great partnership with the mayor and the City of Atlanta Police Department,
got a partnership
but
with the mayor,
we need a partnership to begin with the Fulton County Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam DA Fani Willis, and thank you, Chief Shearbaum, for your update on the crime stats and our partnership together with Fulton County, as well as all the other teams that are behind us. As you've heard, the GBI, Georgia State Patrol, ATF, the FBI, and a number of other alphabets that are back there. If I missed one, pardon me, I think the Chief covered them all. But we have these great relationships and partnerships. And thank you, Chief, for highlighting the CARES unit and the take-home car programs. Even in the snow, you think about officers being able to have a car right there to be able to get to work versus driving their personal vehicle, or not being able to drive their personal vehicle because it's not good for the snow. And so it is not lost on me that creating one safe city includes and requires a whole village. That's why we have some partners joining us this morning. It's not just law enforcement that has a part to play here. We have worked hard on non-policing activities and alternatives, including violence reduction initiatives. There's one other non-policing initiative that is relatively new but we are seeing early benefits from it. That is our Park Rangers program. You'll see those vehicles parked out front too. This team is currently patrolling routes in parks and along the Atlanta Beltline. So far, these Rangers have been able to focus on crime prevention and recognizing possible problematic encounters. Ultimately, we hope this program will help reduce calls to 911 when it comes to addressing quality of life and park code issues. And the results so far are looking really good. Atlanta Fire Rescue has also played a vital role in this reduction of violence and promoting public safety in the city. The new Safe Spots program is a fire rescue initiative that offers people a safe place to go if they are experiencing violence. All of the city's fire stations are safe havens, especially for anyone facing domestic violence. This is in conjunction with our No More campaign, No More.
Y'all know labot is not at this press conference for a reason. Somebody in the chat was asking about what about the jail. There's no way they're gonna bring up. This is a victory run for Fulton County right now, or I should say Atlanta. So they're not gonna bring up the Department of Justice investigation into Wright Street. No way. Absolutely no way.
Domestic violence. And that's an important message we want the community to be aware of.
Because think about it, Fannie's whole thing is getting people in there, getting them off the streets and into Wright Street. Whether we fix it or not, that's another issue. We'll work on that with the Department of Justice, and she'll let Sheriff labot handle that. It's really not under her control. What is under her control are the indictments and the convictions that they're getting, which is flooding and overpowering these jails in the first place. But no, we are not going to talk about that today. We're not going to talk about Trump. We're not going to talk about any L's this year.
Anyone fleeing violence can seek assistance with a police officer or at the fire station. And so we've seen that there is a direct correlation between some of the decreases that we've seen in crimes and our work to create constructive opportunities for our young people. Last year, 2024, was also the year of the youth in the city of Atlanta. So successful community-based programs like Midnight Basketball and Next Level Boys Academy, they really make a difference, as well as our Summer Youth Employment Program. They play a significant part. And so we'll hear more about these programs in a second. But first, we'll hear from our Chief Operating Officer, LaShondra Burks. Chandra?
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, let's lift up the city for a minute.
Thank you, and good morning.
Ms.
You've heard the mayor talk about from policing and non-policing our efforts. And so we are excited about all the things that we have done from a non-policing standpoint. Under Mayor Dickens' leadership, to include, you heard him say, Midnight Basketball, pre-arrest diversion services, our Year of the Youth, our school break safe spaces, the city's nightlife division, Summer Youth Employment, which you'll hear about shortly, and Atlanta's first ever Center for Diversion and Services. And there's also the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction, which serves as the city's staff resource for violence reduction and community-based intervention, and coordinates a comprehensive effort to reduce violence, especially with guns. This office has contracted with 2 nonprofit organizations who have used the Cure Violence model in order to bring down violence in the city. Specifically, the Zone 4 and Zone 1 are the spaces that we have worked in. Zone 4 has been managed by Chris 180. We have seen 112 violence interruptions in Zone 4 in the year of 2024. Individuals involved in conflict, we know, as Madam DA said, we're majority male, but we have had 39 participants to enroll and make the decision to say, I no longer want to be a part of this violence. I want help. I want support. And what we don't always realize is the impact of some of these community organizations on how they are able to prevent crimes. And so you hear from our police side the number of crimes that we have, but we don't often hear about the numbers that were prevented as a result of these organizations. The second one, Offender Alumni Association, which is in Zone 1, they have interrupted and prevented 41 incidents of gang and gun violence. 38 of the incidents were resolved with no retaliation, shootings, or deaths. They have also done what we call a safe passage program. A lot of times we see violence right when school lets out. They have partnered with Washington High School. You can see them along the corridors talking to students who are walking to the Ashby train station to make sure that they get from the school to the train station and then to home safely. You would be amazed at the violence that could happen or that used to happen in that short walk from school all the way to Ashby train station.
Yeah, and we got to give them a round of applause for that. I mean, that's something that's a big issue, especially considering the areas they're talking about. If y'all want to know, when it comes to Zone 4 and Zone 1, West Atlanta, we've got Bankhead. Y'all have heard of Bankhead. A lot of bad stuff goes on there. Vine City, English Avenue wouldn't be a big deal to y'all. And then, of course, Zone 4. Y'all have heard of Zone 4 throughout the YSL trial. We've got Oakland City in there, if y'all have heard before as well. So a lot of rougher areas. So they're doing a good job.
The other place is Mays High School. They have been working very intently, canvassing right after school, engaging youth, giving out snacks, and we have seen 0 fights right outside of Mays High School in the year of 2024 as a result of their engagement. So I always want to say we appreciate our community partners, the work that they do from a non-policing standpoint, being very specific to the Cure Violence model. We do a lot of training with them. And because of the success that we have had in Zones 1 and Zone 4, we have also partnered with the Offender Alumni Association that whenever we have a citywide shooting, they go to the scene, they work with individuals to make sure that we prevent retaliation and so that we don't have another unfortunate shooting or death in our city. And with that, Mayor, I think I will turn it over to, back to you.
No. You give it.
We're going to Next Level Academy. We're going to Next Level. We're going up another notch with Gary. All right. Come on, Gary.
It's good to see you.
Shout out to the Next
Good
Level
morning.
Academy.
My name is Gary Davis. I'm the founder, executive director of the Next Level Boys Academy, which is again,
y'all are asking why are they doing this? We know why they're doing this, because the numbers are bad. And I've got an article. I'm not going to pull it up and just completely on my own city, but yeah, there's some stuff going on here, a lot of which isn't being said. Now, a part of this article I'm going to read, I'll just read a small part of it just to let y'all know. Atlanta's crime rate in 2024 is about 47.91 crimes per 10,000 residents. All right. And that's just in Atlanta. But that's not all. All right. So what's going on with the numbers? So when it comes to the crime statistics, when it comes to robberies and other assaults, crime is actually down 14%. When it comes to aggravated assaults, they're down 7%. Now, here's the issue that you run into. And I mentioned this earlier. When it comes to homicides are up since 2021. Since Fannie Willis has been in office, there's been a rise, up 7%, which isn't great. And that's doubling the homicides from 2022. And they still can't figure out why, which is interesting because Fannie's whole thing is cleaning up the streets, getting these gang members off the street, filling up Rice Street, and you're still having more issues, which makes you wonder, what is the reason behind this? Is this really the issue, or is this something that she's just using to bolster her own resume, which we've talked about a lot before as well? So y'all have to let me know what you think about that in the comments and in the chat. It's wild. Shout out to y'all in the chat. By the way, I think at one point we almost had 100% of y'all that liked the video. Over 1,200 of you have liked the video so far. 1,300 of y'all in here. Thank you so much to everybody that liked the video. That's really such a big deal, and y'all have no idea how much it helps when you just take a second and hit that like button when it comes to growing the channel and building everything that we're doing here. So thank y'all for taking a second to do that. It really means a lot. And Amy's happy because she didn't have to beg for y'all to like today. I didn't have to beg either. Speaking of, shout out to Dr. EJ in here. Gifted another 5 memberships. Thank you, Dr. EJ. If you got one of those memberships from Dr. EJ, make sure you say thank you. Always supporting. He's already gifted 10 memberships today. So thank you so much, Dr. EJ, for showing so much love and support to the channel and everything we're doing here. Also, shout out to beautiful Bless as well, saying she enjoys the content. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, beautiful Bless. And I think I missed one more thing in here. Shout out to JD in here as well. Where did JD go? Made a great comment, and I wanted to go back and find it. She said, oh, we got Anton Bishop in here too. We've also got, who else is in here? The World's End is in here as well. Good to see you. Says, dang, I must be angry at these political cliches. I even spelled Amy wrong today. Oh man. Yeah, and we've seen this before. You know, they're going to parade everyone up here, talk about how great things are going. And I want to see if we hear anything else from Fannie in here, because this is live right now.
Intends to mentor an organization for youth and young adult males.
And from the previous year, a 19
young Atlantans, reducing youth crime by 23%. Arrests among 14 to 17-year-olds dropped by nearly 200. Crimes among 18 to 24-year-olds decreased by 25%. And violent crimes fell by 46%. Yes. These results highlight how structured, purpose-driven programs provide positive alternatives for our youth and help build a safer future for all. We often hear from our mayor and the challenge he has given us on the group project and a whole government to give more and do more. That's why we have launched partnerships to improve these results, including awesome, partnerships with the Annie E. Casey Foundation and the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, aimed at further equipping Atlanta's youth with skills, mentorships, and paid internships needed to secure meaningful careers. These collaborations are not just about job creation. They're about building a city where every resident feels safe, supported, and empowered. Atlanta Department of Labor and Employment Services remains committed to breaking barriers, fostering economic mobility, and assisting with the vision that the Atlanta truly becomes one safe city. The success of our young people, like Kevin Scott Jr., who joined us this summer at the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction, and Madison Brownlee, who participated in the STEAM program through a time to give this summer, serve as a foundation of a stronger, safer community, and we are proud to be a part of the administration's transformative work. Thank you, Mayor Dickens, for your visionary leadership and unwavering commitment, and to our partners for their steadfast support and collaboration in bringing the vision to life. Together, we are reducing crime, transforming lives, and building a brighter tomorrow for all Atlantans. Thank you.
All right, so you heard it here. Hand this to you. You've heard it here that this is a group project. This requires the whole of government and our partners, those that are here today and those that may not have been here today. There's the GBI as well as the Fulton County Sheriff's Office and others.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, yo, chill. Who's currently under investigation by the Department of Justice? Let's not bring them up. You were doing good, Andre. Mayor Dickens, until we got to this point. Let's relax.
I have been here today. There's the GBI as well as the Fulton County Sheriff's Office and others that had other things that they had to do right now, but they were definitely partners throughout this time. And so, Chief, if you come closer to the mic, because we're about to present the award to the zone that saw the greatest reduction in crime. I want our council member for this area to come up, too. Oh, there you are. Hey, right on time. Councilmember Winston, thank you for your leadership. Again, it takes all of us doing this together, so thank you, City Council. So now, Chief, I'll let you announce who was the zone that had the greatest reduction.
Of course, Jamie.
Mayor, as you all know, we have 6 zones across the city of Atlanta. Each year we recognize the zones that has had the best reduction over the previous year. 2 years ago it was Zone 2. Last year it was Zone 1. But this year we have a new winner on the block, the zone that saw a 23% reduction in overall crime from the previous year, a 19% reduction in crimes against persons, and a 24% reduction in crimes against properties, none other than Zone 3.
All right.
So if Congratulations, Zone 3.
Zone 3 is led by Major Ricker and Captain Pettis, and then just an incredible group of individuals that show up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to keep Zone 3 safe. And so I hope every neighborhood president, neighborhood watch looks for great pride, stops by and congratulates Zone 3. And thank you, Mayor, for giving us the tools we need to make sure we deliver on that commitment to Zone 3.
Good deal.
Congratulations, sir.
You want to say anything, Major?
Congratulations.
The only thing
Zone
I'd like
3.
to say is obviously it's a group effort. I think everyone here has mentioned who takes part in that, but there's a big shout out to the community who partners with us and actually supplies us with the information we need to hold people accountable who are doing wrong. So, thank you.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me at all. I've been able to see the change in Zone 3 myself personally, so that doesn't surprise me. Y'all may remember Summerhill, the name Summerhill. That's a part of Zone 3, mentioned in the YSL trial as well. So some things go down out there in Zone 3, but hey, congratulations to them for cleaning it up.
We'll go to Q&A in a second, but we got to take a photo of this crime reduction.
We got to take a photo of the crime reduction. They're going to get to question and answers here in a second. Yeah, we don't care about the picture. Let's skip ahead to Q&A. Let's see if anybody asks some good questions.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, we don't care about the picture. That's cool.
Thank you.
Congratulations. She said, please make sure that you only ask questions about this pretty award we just gave for Zone 3, okay? Don't ask anything else about Department of Justice. Don't ask about Rice Street. Don't ask about Trump. Please don't ask about Trump. Don't ask about any of it, all right? I don't want to hear it. We're not talking about Nathan Wayne. Just see, somebody in the chat said, where's Nathan? We're probably not going to get any tough questions, but maybe they can open the door a little bit. We'll see how good these reporters are. Don't bring up YSL.
Did I just get closer?
We just started to hear from Zone 3 where they
Oh.
difference in reducing that crime that we've been trying this for many years.
All right, come on up, Zone 3. Tell us what.
The reporter
Well, like
said,
I said,
what y'all
it's a
did out
partnership
there?
with the community. I think we've used technology to our usefulness to bring that crime down. We have a lot of dedicated officers that work out of there that their main goal every day is to keep that area safe. And obviously they've done a really good job this year of doing that. That's our whole goal every day, is to make sure that the citizens don't have to deal with people out there who are looking to do them harm.
When you say technology specifically, what technology?
So
I hope they aren't talking about those drones.
Well, it's something obviously that comes from the mayor's office. That helps, along with everybody else that wants to, put a helping hand in there, from cure violence that goes out on these scenes to getting people jobs that need them. All of that works together.
Did you want to talk about the job programs?
Yeah, can you expand a little bit more on that non-policing effectiveness and how you think that can
Yeah, absolutely. As the major said, any part of fighting crime also involves making sure that people have employment as well as education. And so we created this summer youth employment program where we've expanded it to include businesses, nonprofits, as well as city departments and offices. So we had over 5,000 young people between the ages of 14 and 24 to be employed, and they make $15 an hour and up. And the average came out to be about $17 an hour. That kept people so busy during the summer that they were able to enjoy the money they were making, and they were learning while they earned. So when they're busy doing those things, they're unlikely to show up in the major's crime stats.
It was mentioned that some of the causes of these homicides, actually one of the main causes, was disputes that kind of escalated. Obviously, when dealing with youth, there
there are some solutions at play, but if we're talking about adults, is there a way that the city can intervene? I know this has come up a few years in a row here.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So a lot of the things we're doing around the Year of the Youth is reducing violence with Gary at Next Level Boys Academy, as well as the Year of the Youth and the Summer Youth Employment. All of that, Parks and Recs, is helping our youth crime stats go down. But adults are still part of the problem. People that can't de-escalate a situation. These escalated disputes, these domestic violence cases, sometimes they're happening inside the home, inside the apartment, inside the business. It's very difficult for police to be able to do that, to deal with that. So that requires the community to continue to put out the message. The No More campaign is about reducing community violence through you see something, say something, articulate that you have trauma at home. And then the other escalating disputes, that has been addressed through a lot of the non-policing activities, making sure that people, our work in the community around cure violence, the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction, these teams that go out to anti-retaliation. Somebody stepped on your shoe, you got into a fight, you don't have to shoot each other later that day or next week. To diffuse escalated disputes is something that we're keen on and working on consistently and throughout every single zone in the city of Atlanta. It's paying off dividends, but I mean, sure, we are working hard on youth, but there's still grown folks out here that need to get their act together and stop some of the things that have led to violence in our city. Oh, I also point out one other thing.
Talking about domestic homicides.
Another part of escalating disputes that we've gotten a hold of is our nightlife. If you recall, back in 2020, 2021, you had a lot of nightlife violence. And so when I came in as mayor, we started the nightlife division and the nightlife advisory council, where we go to the nightlife and train them how to resolve conflicts, how to settle disputes, and how to make sure that you de-escalate issues and have proper protections. We've seen a reduction in nightlife crime for sure, but one is one too many, and we definitely know that we can do better and consistently improve.
Yeah, again, no numbers being discussed because we're going to focus on the one thing that we did well, and then y'all can figure out the rest, which I already mentioned. So, hey, man, congratulations to Zone 3, I guess, for cleaning up the streets. I think it's interesting. Andre Dickens mentioned how it's up to the community and it's in the community hands to say something, basically alluding to something I've brought up before, that a lot of people know what's happening, what's going on, but they're not saying anything. They're just letting certain things happen. So it's interesting to hear him make that point. But at the same time, these programs that are being put in place are really, in some instances, not all, in some instances, a facade, just covering up the real issue, which we've seen throughout this entire YSL trial, throughout how Fani Willis has conducted herself, throughout the issues with Rice Street, people sitting in jail, just becoming victims of this system, unfortunately. And again, you say don't commit the crime, it's understandable. A lot of people are in there because they're innocent. And we've seen lawsuits come out because of that too. Either way, y'all let me know what you think. Let's go ahead and get into the next one. So I promised y'all some YSL trial updates. So as of right now, we had let me double check this and see. So Christian Eppinger had a hearing this morning, and it was supposed to be a motions hearing. Haven't heard any updates on that yet. It may possibly be moved. Nard is supposed to have his hearing later on this afternoon at 2:00. So we should be able to get into that one. I'm just waiting to find out if it's going to be televised or not, but it's possible that might be moved as well. Now I want to go and do a little bit of a rewind and talk about Nard, because this whole situation with Nard, and I'll leave Fani up there. This whole situation with Nard is really interesting because this isn't the first time he's been offered a plea deal, and this isn't the first time that he's been facing the opportunity to take a plea deal. So I want to go and rewind back a little bit for y'all if you weren't able to see this, and kind of looking at what he's facing, which we've covered before. A lot of it is from things he's accused of doing while he was incarcerated, and then two, seeing what his lawyer was talking about and why they don't want to take a plea or they're not looking at a plea, because it seemed like everybody else in this trial was willing to sign on the dotted line and do what they needed to do. So we'll go back and rewind and check this out.
She has not put that on record for purposes of posterities, but she's ready to do that this time, okay?
We're ready, Michael.
Ready, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Your Honor, as it relates to Mr. Tanquarius Mender, Mr. Mender is charged with count 1 of the indictment, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, which carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years. He's also charged with count 44 of the indictment, which is possession of a weapon by an incarcerated individual, which carries a sentence of 1 to 5 years. Count 45, possession of a telecommunication device by an incarcerated individual, which carries a sentence of 1 to 5 years. And last, count 46, which is participation in criminal street gang activity, which carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years.
And then we talked about this. I went through and broke everything down for y'all. This man, Nard, from having a phone in prison and allegedly having a weapon, and then that overall comes into criminal street gang activity on top of the RICO. He's looking at like 50 something years. I think Ms. Hilton's going to say. So again, this is a rewind going back to the first time that he was offered a plea deal. All right. So this isn't happening right now. His hearing isn't until later today. I'm going to keep y'all updated on whether that's going to be televised or not.
Mr. Mender is an ANC recidivist. The state did file a recidivist notice on December 9th of this year. If Mr. Mender was found guilty of all the counts in the indictment, he'd be looking at a maximum exposure of 50 years to serve in prison.
Yes, and now, could you explain the difference, I think, for Ms. I'm sure that Ms. Fegan has probably explained that to her client. But can you tell for the benefit of the record and for Mr. Mender's benefit, what potentially may happen if he were to be convicted of any of these particular counts? Like what would, under A or C?
Yes, if he's convicted of any of the counts, as an ANC recidivist, Mr. Mender, you would have to get the maximum amount on for that charge, and then whatever time the court gives you, which if it was to be the maximum, you have to spend every day door to door. Which means you have to spend every day in custody.
He get no good time.
No.
It's a to-the-door sentence.
Yes, he would get any credit for a time served.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
But anything else would be a full sentence door-to-door.
So his max is 50 years?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and what's the state's offer?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's offer for Mr. Mender as to count 1 is 16 years to serve 1 year, committed to time served with the
and of course that's RICO.
Balance of 15 years on probation. The state would offer that his probation could be terminated upon successful completion of the first 10 years of this sentence, provided that he violated no provisions of the agreement or no special conditions of the agreement, and that he violates no law of the state of Georgia. As to count 44, the state's recommendation is 5 years to serve 1 year, commuted to time served, with a balance to be served on probation, concurrent with count 1. As to count 45, it would be 5 years to serve 1 year, commuted to time served in confinement. Commuted to time served, followed by 4 years on probation, concurrent with counts 1 and 44. And count 46 would be 16 years to serve 1 year, commuted to time served, followed by 15 years on probation, concurrent with count 1, 44, and 45. Would be the offer. Mr. Mender also is currently on another indictment, 21 SC 178250. In this case, as a part of the agreement, would run concurrent with that case whenever he resolved that other case, Your Honor.
Is that before me or before another division?
It is in this division currently, Your Honor, and that's being handled by ADA Lauren Jansen with the state.
Does he have bond on that case ending in 250?
You're talking about his previous cases.
I don't believe he has a bond on that case. No, he has a no bond status.
But But on this case, he could go home today.
Correct. If he was given a bond, he would. This case, he would not have served any jail time on this case.
Okay.
And that offer will also conclude today, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Fegan, have you communicated that to your client in terms of is that to correctly summarize the plea agreement or the potential plea?
And we're going to talk about Ms. Fegan here shortly, but
plea offer, I should say.
The only change was that he wasn't aware of the concurrent status for the second case. At this time, though, he still maintains a not guilty plea.
Sure.
Respectfully rejects the offer, and we announce ready for trial.
Take it to trial, he said.
Okay, Mr. Mender, I'll tell you and I'll tell Mr. Beebe and Mr. Stevens the same thing, okay? At this point, you have the absolute right to plead not guilty, and that's what the law will presume, and the court will, of course, instruct that you have a presumption, as the presumptions and protections you enjoy as a criminal accused. You have to decide for yourselves what you want to do in this particular case, depending upon the results or the outcome of the trial. The only thing I would tell you, Mr. Mender, is the most, and I'm sure that Ms. Fegan, she is a very fine attorney. Seen her work. But trials, there's one thing about trials, it's uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen. So
you got
to beat 4 counts. If you don't beat them, what will happen is under this A&C recidivist statute, I have to, under the law, sentence you to the maximum sentence. And then whatever I sentence you to, you serve to the door. That's not anything I have any discretion over. It's not anything because I don't like you or because of what you're being charged with or whatever. Those have nothing to do with anything. That's what the state of Georgia, the legislature has mandated that I sentence you to. Mm-hmm. So one of the things a plea does is you know what you're getting. It caps your exposure. So, and what the state's telling you today is if you take the plea today, this is what you're going to get, and this is what I probably sentence you to. And you're done. You got to decide that for yourself. You can't be worried about any of these other folks that are attached to this indictment. Because
isn't Glanville so nice? Y'all see how much he cares? Oh, I shouldn't have paused him like that. Y'all see how much Glanville cares about these young men? He's just saying, hey, let's just make this easy. Because if you go to trial before a jury of your peers, they might find you guilty in one of these, and then you got to be locked up for 50 years. Glanville loved talking these guys up.
You can't be worried about any of these other folks that are attached to this indictment, because a plea is individual to that particular person for those particular reasons that he or she feels is of best interest to them, not anybody else. So if you want a couple minutes out to talk with Ms. Fegan about that, nobody will be the wiser. And certainly, but if you don't wish to do so, that's fine too. You'll get the fairest trial that the law demands and expects you to get. You will get that. I as your trial.
Stop the cap. This guy has the nerve to say he's going to get a fair trial. I mean, I'm trying to find some research on what the actual plea was. I can imagine with this taking place a couple of years ago that it wouldn't have been great. So now, with him looking at a possible plea later on today, this is his last chance to take a plea. What do y'all think is going to happen? You think he's going to take this plea, whatever it would be? Or is he going to take his shot at going to trial like he has been saying for the past couple of years? Because the tough thing is, we looked at the charges, and we're going to look at them in a minute. We looked at the charges, and it's possible that you could find him guilty of one of these charges, which would be bad. That would be tough.
The judge will make sure that occurs. But one of the things I cannot do is I can't force the state at the end of trial to pull this recidivist notice. If you get convicted, they can maintain it, and you'll serve every day of it. Man. And Ms. Fegan can ask them to pull it, and they can say no. I can't make them do that. So you got a lot to think about. So I'll give you a few more minutes to ponder that, because that is, when they file a recidivist notice, That they have basically, in poker terms, they've called. Like, what do you want to do? So I'll let you think about that. You can let me know, and if not, then we'll see you next week for trial. Mr. Beebe, where are you?
Here, y'all.
So rewind, Billy.
Judge, we're in a similar situation. We would reject the state's offer as provided on record, Your Honor. However, Mr. Beebe would ask the court if the court would hear a non-negotiated plea as to the indictment.
I would.
If that's the case, Judge, Mr. Beebe would then ask if he does not agree with Your Honor's sentence, would the court allow him to withdraw the plea and proceed to trial?
10 years probation.
I need to think about that for just a second, okay?
Understood.
Just give me a minute, okay? But yes, that's more than fine.
Thank you.
Mr. Beebe, you got the same kind of same discussion I had with Mr. With Mr. Mender applies to you, but let me just get back with you in just a second, okay? Mr. Stevens, where are you?
Right here, Judge.
Okay, Madam, are you still talking to your client?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm actually still exchanging text messages with the state. So
Okay, I'm going to take a couple of minutes out and let you all continue to chat. I'm going to just take a recess, and I'll come back in just a minute, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you're very welcome. All right.
So it's going to be hard to tell what's going to happen later on this afternoon, because Tinquarius Mender already rejected the plea deal once. I'm sure it wasn't favorable, and I know Ms. Fegan, she's very good at what she does, and she really, it seems like, has a lot of love for her clients and really wants their best interests. So she seemed like she was sitting up there standing with him, like, no, he's going to stand on it, go to trial. Just as a quick reminder to y'all what he is looking at, I want to show you the charges here. And I mean, they're pretty straightforward. It's nothing too crazy. Count 1, we all know that's RICO. 44, 45, and 46. What are they? Possession of a weapon by an incarcerated individual, possession of a telecommunication device by an incarcerated individual, and both of these add up to participation in criminal street gang activity. Absolutely insane. So again, we'll have to wait and see. I think that participation in criminal street gang activity is going to be a tough one, but the cell phone and the shank, that's going to be a little bit harder for him to fight against. So what's going to happen today? Y'all let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. Man, we got a couple of super chats in here too. Thank you to all 1,500 of you that are in the building. 1,400 of you have liked the video so far. Wow. Yeah, Jamie Heather says, so basically nothing. Yeah.
Right, and so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence,
none at all. Let me see what else we've got in here. We've got Black Butterfly in here with the 2 bomb, says, Classy, this is his 4th last chance. Yeah, absolutely insane. And I'm going to double check and see if we have any updates on the hearing this morning. Let me see. Actually, what I'm going to do is y'all give me 1 second. We'll take a brief intermission and then I will bring y'all right back. I want to check on one update real quick. Give me a second.
I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. 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 And that's exactly what today is.
All right, we are gonna get back into it. I'm trying to see if I could find an update here for y'all. Here we go. So what Amy's in here, she has, what is Amy saying? Shout out to the awesome, amazing Amy. Let's see. It looks like she has some update. Oh my gosh, does Amy have some breaking news? Let me see. I'm trying to see what Amy's saying in here. Where did her comment go? So Amy's saying Christian Eppinger's first offender status was revoked after using a firearm to shoot an 11-year veteran of the Atlanta Police Department 6 times while he's being taken into custody. Receives amended sentence for the 2016 crimes. The judge sentenced Eppinger to a total of 64 years on the charges dating back to May 16th when he was just 16. He was sentenced to 20 years for each robbery and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He also received 12 months. Let me see. Okay, so you're talking about, okay, she's talking about something that happened before. All right, shout out to Amy, just giving y'all a little bit of update. And actually, we're going to go ahead and get into that. So if y'all want to see this is going to be tough for Christian Eppinger. So yeah, y'all said he's claiming self-defense. That is absolutely right. So let's go ahead and get into it. In case y'all hadn't seen this before, just to give you the full story, because this thing is crazy. And I mentioned this before to y'all in another video, but when it comes to Christian Eppinger and what he has to face with these charges, he's fighting an uphill battle. Let's be real. I know a lot of you have probably seen the videos of what happened already. I'm going to play these for you again and show you what he's looking at and what he's facing. But in this instance, the state is not calling any witnesses. Keep that in mind. So they have a couple of videos and they're not calling any witnesses at all. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Christian Eppinger moving forward.
And we begin tonight with an update on the officer shot by an armed robbery suspect yesterday afternoon in southeast Atlanta. Officer David Rogers has been with the Atlanta Police Department for 11 years. Authorities say Rogers was shot 6 times by known gang member Christian Eppinger.
Rogers is recovering at Grady Memorial Hospital in serious but stable condition, while Eppinger remains in jail tonight after a judge denied him bond during his first court appearance today. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor has the latest.
The assistant district attorney talked extensively about Eppinger's alleged gang activity in that Cleveland Avenue area. She says he even has a gang tattoo on his face.
He is charged with several counts of unlawful gang activity.
Prosecutors told the judge the man accused of shooting APD officer David Rogers is a well-documented street gang member. They say Christian Eppinger's run-ins with the law started as a teenager in 2013. Yesterday, Atlanta police were trying to execute an armed robbery warrant on Eppinger, but the 22-year-old refused to cooperate. Police say he pushed Officer Rogers before pulling out a weapon and firing.
The officer attempted to tase Mr. Eppinger. Mr. Eppinger pulled out a weapon and discharged his weapon at Officer Rogers, striking Officer Rogers 6 times, including 4 hits to the right shoulder, 1 hit to his right knee, and 1 hit to the back of his head.
Prosecutors went on to say members of Eppinger's street gang posted about the officer-involved shooting on social media.
I want the court to be aware that Mr. Eppinger is a documented member of YSL street gang, and a lot of his criminal activity takes place in the area of Cleveland Ave, which is a YSL neighborhood, Your Honor.
Fox 5 News has learned Eppinger was arrested in May of 2016 for a violent carjacking and was on probation when police were trying to arrest him for an October armed robbery. The judge did not mince words when she denied bond.
I believe that it's appropriate to indicate that this is in fact a flight risk, a danger to the community as well, and that he shows that he is likely to reoffend based on his criminal history, both juvenile and adult.
We learned today during the hearing that suspect Eppinger actually shot at 2 officers, but only hit Officer Rogers. In Northwest Atlanta, Angelique Proctor, Fox 5 News.
And this all happened in Zone 3, by the way, in case y'all are wondering. So here's what happened and what went down and what Fannie Willis had to say about it. You see Labot back there. Fannie Willis, of course.
Okay.
So not happy.
1 second. Ms. Converse. Mr. Rose. Ms. Lugo. Can you flank the other side of me?
This side.
The other side, please. And just fill it.
Maybe I should get rid of this.
Good morning. We are here today because of some events that have taken place over the last few days within our county. As many of you are aware, what the state considers to be an extremely dangerous gang member was given a bond. It is the position of the state that that individual should not have been given a bond based on his history, based on where he was within the process here in Fulton County. And so it is something that has upset my law enforcement partners and also me as the district attorney. The gentleman that we are talking about is Christian Eppinger. Mr. Eppinger has a long history of violence within our community. Back in May of 2016, May 11th of 2016, he was a juvenile. He was 16 years old. But unfortunately, at that time in his life, he chose to commit an armed robbery. The wisdom of the district attorney's office at that time and the Superior Court judge, and because of a very, very kind victim, he was given what I would call a second chance. He was only at that time sentenced to 10 years to serve 4 in custody. He in fact did serve all of those 4 years in custody, but then he was released on probation. When he got on probation, as many of you know from an earlier news story, he decided to commit other acts of violence. Those acts of violence, and let me be clear, he was released on May 10th of 2021 from that 2016 case. When he got out, though, he did not choose to do the right thing. He again became involved in gang activity, and he committed an act of violence on 10/12/21. At least those are allegations and the charges of robbery and aggravated assault. He also, on January the 22nd of 2022, so of this year, completed a felony theft of a car. He then, on February the 7th, when the police were trying to arrest him for the acts that he committed while out on probation, he shot an officer, and he shot him 6 times.
And they're going to show the video if y'all haven't seen it.
Execute the warrant for the behavior that he did. The mayor and me have been really disgusted with this, as well as the chief of police, because while he was on probation, it is clear that he was not monitored, he did not report, and he was never revoked. And so our local law enforcement went to arrest him for that other crime that he committed. And that crime, as I said, was a robbery. That was on February the 7th, 2022, where he shot one of Atlanta's finest, an officer, and he shot him 6 times. He really attempted to assassinate him. Just by the grace of God, this officer lived. He also shot at another officer. And so this is why we are so offended that this could go on. He was brought before a Fulton County Superior Court judge, the Honorable Judge Schwall. Judge Schwall actually heard the revocation. He found that there were enough facts to revoke Mr. Eppinger's probation, and in fact had already done so.
Yeah,
however, he set the sentencing date of that revocation off, and that in fact has been set till April the 27th, 2022. So 1 week from today, he was actually going to sentence him on his finding of being revoked. During that time, he is also waiting to be indicted in the other cases. And in fact, it had been 71 days from his arrest until when the hearing is. And a judge here decided to grant him a bond over the opposition of the state. And
the mayor and Fannie are good friends.
We do not believe, based on the fact that he had already been revoked on his probation, he had such crimes of violence already against him that that was an inappropriate act. I want to be very clear for the public, though. Mr. Eppinger is not getting out of jail. There is a hold on him from the Fulton County Jail as a result of that revocation, so he is not getting out of jail. We quite frankly believe that Judge Schwall, who is the judge hearing the revocation, is likely going to sentence this gentleman between 50 and 60 years in jail, which is the max that he can get because he took that plea under first offender. And it should be known to the public, his 90 days had not run, and so an indictment will be coming within those 90 days. All of those are facts that we are confident about, but we want the Atlanta Police Department and the public to know that we stand with them, that we are against acts of violence, and especially those that choose to be involved in a gang and commit acts of violence. This is not something that the state supports. It's not something we're going to stand for. Once the Deputy District Attorney, Ms. Convery, brought to my attention that at 5 o'clock the evening before that a bond had been set, we immediately went and filed an emergency motion to have that bond reconsidered, and in fact it is on a calendar tomorrow at 5 p.m. And so although he is going to court next week, we want to make sure that this gentleman does not get out of jail. In fact, we want to make sure that in my lifetime he never sees society again. He has chosen to do this with his life, and now is the time for him to be held responsible.
Now, yes, I agree with a lot of what y'all are saying. What does this have to do with YSL? Well, he has a YSL tattoo, so obviously RICO charges, right? That's what they're saying. Now, can we, I think as much as this pains me to agree with the DA's office, this man, from what we're seeing and what we've heard and what we're going to see here in a minute, it's probably best that he maybe not be on the streets. But when it comes to the overall indictment, why Christian Eppinger is mentioned in this is beyond a lot of us. So let's see what they're talking about.
I'll let my police chief speak.
Thank you,
Shout out
Madam
to the
DA.
police chief.
I want to thank you, the Mayor's Office, Fulton County Sheriff's Office, for being in alignment and having solidarity as it relates to the actions against Officer Rogers. But I want us to be clear that we're not standing here in solidarity just because this was action against a police officer. This was an action against our society as a whole. The officers represent the community. And when you strike out against the Atlanta Police Department or any law enforcement official who is standing in the gap, it's a strike against our whole society. This is a most atrocious act of violence against our people when one strike out at a police officer. What we saw, as the DA stated so clearly, is an attempt to assassinate one of our police officers. We must hold people truly accountable for their actions. Police officers are, and I am in agreement, that officers ought to be held to a higher standard. But what comes with that level of higher standards is the protection of the responsibility that they have to the community. And when one takes action against that trust, then the community must galvanize together to protect those responsibilities. And I think what we are seeing here from the DA's office, from the mayor's office, from the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, and all of us that are standing here in solidarity shows that we will not tolerate that in the city, in the city of Atlanta, and in the county of Fulton. It cannot be tolerated. And so we find it quite appalling that the individual will receive this level of bond, but we appreciate the actions taken so swiftly by this DA's office to address the wrongs of this, what we find that happen in this judicial system. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I'm curious.
And we're going to skip the questions because I want to play the video. Let's go over to the Law and Crime version, because this is the best one that they played in court.
And we're going to begin at 18:04.
And this is a body cam from the initial officer.
6170, 6160, you up on SOS? On the ground, boy. On the ground. On the ground.
Say on the ground, boy.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground, bro. Get on the ground. I ain't did nothing. Get on the ground. I ain't did nothing.
And they shot at the other police officer. And this officer ended up going to the hospital and being in critical condition, and was in critical condition for a long time. That's true. Dang. So y'all got to let me know what you think about Christian Eppinger. It's going to be interesting once his trial starts moving forward, how this is going to play out, because the defense is going to have a tough time with that one. I know a lot of y'all are mentioning the officer not announcing themselves, still in uniform, in a patrol car that was clearly marked. Whew, I don't know about this one. But again, we have to wait and see if he's proven guilty. Y'all let me know what you think. And thank you again to all of y'all who are in the building. Oh my gosh, we got 1,500 of y'all up in here. Shout out to the gang. I still haven't seen any updates about Christian Eppinger yet. I'm still checking with a few people to see if they're saying what went on in court this morning. But what I'm hearing is that Christian Eppinger's hearing from this morning may have gotten moved. So I'll let you know. I reached out to a couple people, but I'll let you know if I'll let y'all know if I hear any updates there. This one's going to be real quick. We were watching the live press conference earlier, and it looks like someone asked Fannie Willis a question about what was going on in the prisons in Fulton County. I want to go back and see this one, because this is going to be fun. Hold on a second. And I don't know what's up with Judge Whitaker, because she was supposed to be at the court proceedings the other day and we missed her. So I don't know what's going on with her. And then we're still waiting to see what happens with the Gotti too. So a lot going on. Here we go. Let's see what they asked Fannie about.
One thing, right? Conviction is another, as we've seen in previous criminal arrests. Might be for. Yes, I had a question. This might be for DA Willis or anyone up there, but arrest, prosecution, one thing, right? Conviction is another, as we've seen in previous criminal trials, including gang trials. So what do you tell people still fearful that while we are seeing a reduction in crime, maybe in their neighborhood or their backyard, crime is not done away with altogether?
Crime is
Great
not
question.
done away with altogether. I think that's a true statement and probably a realistic statement for life. But the reality is, because the cases are better, when you hear the mayor talk about getting the cameras, not only from the cameras the city has provided, but getting the cameras from what the neighbors have provided, it makes for better prosecutions. The fact that the officers are now trained on how to put together a gang case, it makes for better prosecutions. We are at about a 90% conviction rate across different types of crimes. That's homicides, that's sexual assaults, which is really unheard of in the country. But we can't take the credit. We like to take the credit as a DA's office all by ourselves.
True.
But the reason we're able to do that is because we're requiring better cases from the start.
Yeah, but she's completely leaving out the backlog of cases that still exist. And this is, these numbers are so messed up. It's so hard for me to hear them talk about numbers like this, because you're completely leaving out a whole segment of these cases. Jeez, man.
This chief, I just can't say enough good things about him. A lot of people operate in ego, and they operate in not wanting to get better and not wanting to get more advanced, but he is someone that has asked, okay, if our officers aren't doing a good job, can you bring us in for training? Can we see how to do it? Can we implement new policies, new rules? One of the areas that we're both frustrated in, and we've talked about, are domestic violence cases. So early on last year, we talked about a new method for tickets and the way that officers could record information so we could have better prosecutions in our domestic violence cases. It really is a group project, and us listening to each other of how do we get better for the community to keep us safer? So I think the community should take a lot of pride in the fact that, you hear all over the country crime is down, right? Not like in Atlanta. Here it's down in the double digits. In other cities, you're talking about 3, 4, 5%. We're talking about 19, 22, 26%. And I think the community can feel that things are getting better, but they're far from perfect. I think that we would all agree that they are far from perfect. These youth initiatives, that is not just talk. It's funny that we sit in Zone 3. I cannot tell you as a murder prosecutor how many cases I came and tried right out of Newtown Circle, which is up the street, or Thomasville, or violent crimes, maybe not a homicide, but someone being shot. I'm very familiar with where I stand because of my 20-year history, but our youth are hungry for opportunities. And so I think that this is an opportunity for the community to try to get involved to give our youth opportunities. When we started the REACH program 3 years ago, we had 140 students. That's all that enrolled over the Fulton County Public School System. We're now over 500. We can't keep up with the capacity or the demand for them to have other opportunities. And so we definitely need these budgets financed in a proper way so that we can provide them with opportunities. But we need the community and nonprofits like Gary Davis' program and other programs involved. And he needs to be funded so he can do the work so we can help our youth. Because they do want to do other things, and they are so capable of putting us all out of our jobs.
Good message, wrong messenger, I think. When she's talking about community and managing the budget and such and such, I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to hear it from Fannie Willis. She's got her own log in her own eye she needs to deal with. But it still stands the same. The community does have a lot of responsibility in that. The things that are pushed, the people that are staying silent about what they're seeing, the system does have a part to play in that, though. And these convictions and these charges that are being thrown at people, and essentially you want to talk about ruining lives, ruining other people's lives. We've seen people go into Rice Street, innocent people, and they've lost their life, or they've been convicted of something while they were in prison. The only reason Yak Gotti, a man who was found not guilty in this entire RICO trial, is in prison because of something that happened, or is in jail because of something that happened while he was there. So it's just all one big mess. And this woman right here has shown that she has no problem with abusing her power and misusing resources.
If we just show them the way.
So, of course, when you guys arrest people who commit crimes, they most likely end up at the Wright Street Jail, Fulton County Jail. How are you guys helping out the sheriff's office with this, fixing the jail and helping them before coming out and all that comes with arresting these people and putting them
Is that?
Yeah, I mean,
guy looks familiar. Is that Joseph?
Wright Street is a challenge. Wright Street is overcrowded, and it's tearing apart. It's literally falling apart in terms of its structure.
That's an understatement.
The sheriff is over that. Fulton County Sheriff Labot is over Wright Street. The city of Atlanta saw the inhumane conditions.
I'm pretty sure that's Joseph Papp from the AJC. Shout out to Joseph Papp. Is that him? That looks like him. Hopefully I didn't misidentify him. But yeah, they're putting the heat on Fanny right now, asking some great questions. I'm pretty sure that's Joseph Papp.
Is over Wright Street. The city of Atlanta saw the inhumane conditions at Wright Street, where there was 3 people to a cell, and some people were in the hallways, and that's just not humane. So we allowed Fulton County to enter into an agreement with us for our ACDC, our Atlanta Corrections Department of Corrections, which Chief Yancey is over. So we gave them license to use 700 beds inside of ACDC, and they just have to staff them. So far, they've reached somewhere around 400 to 500 each day. They haven't reached the 700 due to staffing issues on the county's part. The Fulton County Sheriff is continuing to try to hire people for that. But that's our response, is to help, to relieve some pressure on that aging jail. That's Fulton County Jail, which is old, which was built for a county that has tripled in size since the construction of that. So
look how uncomfortable Fanny
the
is.
county leadership, the sheriff, and the citizens have to demand more in terms of an improved facility for Fulton County. The city right now is still in that engagement.
Yo, look at Fanny's body language. She's like, man, if you don't, I gotta run this back. And shout out to, I hope that is Joseph Papp. I hope I didn't misidentify him.
Over Wright Street.
She is not feeling
the
this
city
question.
of Atlanta saw the inhumane conditions at Wright Street, where there was 3 people to a cell, and some people were in the hallways, and that's just not humane. So we allowed Fulton County to enter into an agreement with us for our ACDC, our Atlanta Corrections Department, Department of Corrections, which Chief Yancey is over. So we gave them license to use 700 beds inside of ACDC, and they just have to staff them. So far, they've reached somewhere around 400 to 500 each day. They haven't reached the 700 due to staffing issues on the county's part. The Fulton County Sheriff is continuing to try to hire people for that. But that's our response, is to help, to relieve some pressure on that aging jail. That's Fulton County Jail, which is old, which was built for a county that has tripled in size since the construction of that. So the county leadership, the sheriff, and the citizens have to demand more in terms of an improved facility for Fulton County. The city right now is still in that engagement with Fulton County and offering and allowing them to use the space at ACDC. And we'll continue that, but we are aware of the DOJ concerns. These are our citizens, our residents of this community that are inside of Wright Street, and we want them to always have an experience that is humane, and that they're getting, they're also getting rehabilitation, that they are getting prepared to come back into society or to go on to prison. So these things require better court, better prosecution, et cetera, whatever the tools we need from all of government.
He said better court.
The technology, people, staff. We need more judges. We need more prosecutors. We need more everything to be able to turn these cases faster. And we need better jail space at Fulton County. So, glad you asked that question. I want citizens to be aware, Madam DA.
Oh, of course.
So polite.
I knew she was gonna say something. Oh, she's about to I have not seen this yet. I could tell she's about to go off. Here we go.
Well, glad you asked that question. I want citizens to be aware. Madam DA?
Our mayor is so polite. He's such a Southern gentleman, right? Fulton County leadership, we need the Fulton County Commission to do their job. The reality is the sheriff cannot do his job, nor the district attorney hers, if it is not financed properly.
Oh my God, they just got $300 million to do all of this. $300 million. Things have gotten worse. Not to mention the prisons are overcrowded, Fannie Willis. Your own mayor, Andre Dickens, just said, yeah, we're having issues. We're trying to get more beds, because there's 3 people to a cell. What does that have to do with funding? What does that have to do with the conditions at Rice Street? Sheriff Labot got funding for the prisons before several years ago. He just got $300 million to do what he needs to do with Rice Street. So what are we talking about here? Man.
Cannot do his job, nor the district attorney hers, if it is not financed properly.
See?
We have known for years, and the sheriff has been begging for years. The jail is falling apart. The prisoners are using pieces of the jail to make shanks to hurt other prisoners. We know that.
We've heard it all
Atlanta
before.
has done their part. They gave us a facility. They've helped us in the way that they can. This is not on the mayor's shoulders. It's not on Atlanta Police Department shoulders. It sits on Commission.
The DA's office. Yeah, Sheriff Labot needs to do better. He's already gotten his butt beat by the DOJ. But he's also said, and Mayor Dickens just said, that the way these cases are being prosecuted are making the problems worse. The fact that Rice Street is overpopulated has nothing to do with funding. Come on, lady.
Rob Pitt's shoulders. And we ought to demand that they have humane conditions. We ought to demand that the DA's office is financed in a way where we can properly prosecute crimes. And citizens ought to call and say, we don't want people to live in these inhumane conditions. And he gave it to you lightly. I've been a district attorney and a defense attorney. The
for
jail
20
is disgusting.
years.
If you go in there, people were sleeping in pods. The conditions should not be that way. You have one man manning 50 and 60 inmates. That cannot happen and people be safe. And so at some point, we have to put blame where blame lies. And where it lies is with Chairman Rob Pitts and those 6 commissioners that sit with him. And they have a duty that in 2 weeks, they need to issue a budget for our sheriff and for this district attorney's office that does the job.
Oh, this lady's so full of y'all got me about to curse for the first time ever on this show. Justice Department enters proposed consent decree over the conditions at Georgia's troubled Fulton County Jail. We've done this 50-11 times, but I guess we've got to get back into it. The U.S. Justice Department has entered a court enforceable agreement with the Georgia's Fulton County over jail conditions that federal investigators have described as inhumane, violent, and unsanitary. The agreement follows the results of a 16-month Justice Department investigation, which said the county jail unconstitutionally subjected detainees to deplorable conditions ranging from broken toilets to pest infestations to inadequate medical and mental health care to failing to protect people from violence behind bars. Not to mention the abuse of force. People were getting tased because they were coughing the wrong way. The Fulton County Board of Commissioners, this man that Fannie Willis said needs to get off his butt and do something, has approved about $300 million to address the facility's needs, which include renovations. Board Chairman Rob Pitts told reporter in November. What is this lady talking about? And I covered this on this channel when it happened because we had so much smoke for Labot and Rice Street. Shout out to Rice Street in the chat. You have $300 million. And then she says this about Rob Pitts. What is she talking about?
And citizens ought to call and say, we don't want people to live in these inhumane conditions. And he gave it to you lightly. I've been a district attorney and a defense attorney. The jail is disgusted. If you go in there, people were sleeping in pods. The conditions should not be that way. You have one man manning 50 and 60 inmates. That cannot happen and people be safe. And so at some point, we have to put blame where blame lies. And where it lies is with Chairman Rob Pitts and those 6 commissioners that sit with him. And they have
$300 million in November.
Have a duty that in 2 weeks they need to issue a budget for our sheriff and for this district attorney's office that does the job.
You want to take another question after that? You want? At some point, Shot, it's time to. Yeah, code enforcement plays a vital role in crime reduction. Some of these properties.
All right, Andre. Yeah, shout out to Andre. I don't know what Fannie is talking about. And then I didn't even get into the mismanagement of the money they received before the $300 million, which I've covered in other videos as well. I mean, the sheriff's office couldn't even pay the company that was managing Rice Street in the first place. And again, Fannie, that has nothing to do with 3 people being in the same cell, the jail being overcrowded. Man, what do y'all think about this, man? This is crazy. The World's End said, how many bouncy castles can you get for 300 mil? How many Richard Millies can you get for 300 mil? Mr. Tesla said, don't do it, Classy. She's not worth it. Fulton County has not done their part because every individual in that jail is a ward of the state, no matter what they're in there for. It's your responsibility to make sure they're safe, ma'am. $300 million. Now, I know the process is slow, and that was just 2 months ago, but why is she saying that they need to do their part? The money is there. And we even saw at the press conference when the commissioner said, yeah, we're allocating more money to them. I want to see if I can. Because this is Patrick Labot has received jail funding before. I want to see if I can find this article for y'all. This is crazy. I didn't even want to go. Let me see how many people we got in here. Oh my God, we still got 1,500 of y'all in here. Y'all want to go down this rabbit hole of this BS in Fulton County? Man. All right, let's do it. I'm gonna walk y'all down real quick. Give me a second. I don't know what Fannie Willis is talking about.
Right, question the sheriff.
We're going to get into it here in a second. We played this horrible BS press conference from Patrick Labot. Everybody's shifting the blame. Fannie's shifting the blame. Patrick Labot is shifting the blame. Commissioner's office, here you go. $300 million. This is back in August. Fulton Sheriff's Office counties spar over jail funding. While Fulton County Sheriff's Office has sounded the alarm that it faces a significant budget crisis, county officials pushed back on the assertion, saying they have increased the department's funding. Sheriff's officials said, as of August 29th, Strategic Security Corporation, we talked about, which inked a contract with the office on June 16, 2023, is owed $1.1 million for 3 months. On Thursday morning, the SSC notified the Fulton County Board of Commissioners and the Sheriff's Office that the company would no longer provide its services, which Fulton County officials said was staffing for jail watchtowers as of 5 p.m. on Friday. We covered this. Y'all can go watch the past videos. After completing the employment paperwork for Fulton County, the Sheriff's Office gave conditional employment offers to nearly 50 SSC employees. A move Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts warned will have consequences for future jail hiring. A county spokesperson told the Center Square that direct and indirect funding for the Fulton County Sheriff's Office and the jail was increased from about $117 million in 2019 to about $197 million in 2023. To about $184 million in 2024. However, Pitts said the contract was signed without the involvement of the Fulton County Purchasing Department. Whose fault is that? Fulton County Board of Commissioners approved funding for this service as a part of the FY24 budget. A total of $1.3 million was allocated based on the uses of the contract at the time, with input from the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, Pitts said in a Friday afternoon statement. Not until August 2024 did the Sheriff's Office notify Fulton County management that their spending had already exceeded the budget amount by more than $1 million. Because the Sheriff's Office spending had exceeded their allocated budget, they were not able to process all of the vendor invoices. Poor management, right? This is what I'm hearing. Y'all said you wanted to go down this rabbit hole, so we're going down it. According to the Sheriff's Office release, SSC texted contract employees on Thursday, alerting them the company's contract had ended and that they should clock out by 2:15 and not report to work. The Sheriff's Office deployed personnel from other divisions to staff the jail. In a statement, the SSC Chief Executive Officer, Joseph Sorty, said the company terminated its services due to a breach of contract for non-payment of services. That's still mismanagement. Despite multiple efforts to resolve the situation, including numerous emails, phone calls, and meetings, notices to various offices, including the Sheriff's Office, the Mayor of Atlanta's office, the County Commissioner's office, and even the Governor's office, no viable solution has been proposed by the reasonable parties. The company said in a statement, regrettably, no timeline for payment or good faith attempt to address the outstanding balance has been made. A Sheriff's Office spokesperson told the Center Square the funding for contracts and personnel services comes from different sources. SSC's base pay started at $18 an hour, or about $37,000 per year, while the county funded security specialist position starts at $41,000. $41,545. How is that Despite the funding support from the Board of the Commissioners, Sheriff has consistently failed to demonstrate basic budget management practices. Y'all see this? Y'all see this back and forth. We need this. We need that. We give you this. We're giving you that. This is Rob Pitts saying this. And I think it's pretty easy to see that he's right. Despite the funding support from the Board of Commissioners, Sheriffs have consistently failed to demonstrate basic budget management practices, Pitts said. The public has every right to be concerned about these issues. The Fulton County Jail has been in the spotlight amid ongoing concerns about the safety of employees and inmates. The Senate Public Safety Committee of the Subcommittee of the Fulton County Jail spent months investigating the facility, and last week it issued a report with 17 recommendations for improving its conditions. We're not done yet.
On his ability to manage the embattled jail.
Atlanta News First reporter Patrick Quinn is live tonight outside of the jail. Patrick, a team of security contractors have walked off the job, and everyone wants to know, how secure is the jail without these contractors?
Sean, Fulton County leaders tonight told me they believe right now that the Fulton County Jail is safe. This comes after, like you mentioned, 80 security officers. They walked off the job yesterday. The contractor saying they're just not being paid. Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labot, he's trying to hire some of these officers back, but tonight, Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts told me it's up for the sheriff to solve this problem. The Fulton County Jail, where 13 people have died since the beginning of 2023, now has lost more than 80 security officers after the sheriff failed to pay a third-party contractor, now with an outstanding balance of more than $1 million.
So it's enough blame to go.
That's less than 1% of the budget that was allocated. Do y'all realize that? You're smart people. I don't have to walk you down like that. $1.1 million for 3 months. What was the entire budget? Do y'all remember the number? The entire budget was $184 million. It's less than 1% of the entire budget. In 3 months. How?
Go around.
Sheriff Pat Labot said the Fulton County Board of Commissioners has not properly funded his office. Today, the chairman of the board, Rob Pitts, told me it's not a money problem. He said they've increased the sheriff's office budget by more than 60% in the last 5 years. Pitts said it's a management problem.
The sheriff needs to stick to managing the jail and stop blaming the Board of Commissioners every time there's a crisis at the jail.
Today, Strategic Security Corps said they had no choice but to pull security off of their posts at doorways, entrances, and guard towers after they said the sheriff had not fully paid any of their balances since their contract started last July.
Just passing the buck, shifting the blame over and over and over. Let's look at this. He said funding for the Fulton County Sheriff's Office and jail has increased by 66%. Now, keep in mind, this is all inclusive. So it's for the Sheriff's Office and it's for the jail. Okay, so we got to keep that in mind. But they increased it by 66%. 2019. 117, 122, 132, 145, 197 2 years ago. 184 last year. What are we doing, Labot? Like what? And Fanny's out here saying the Board of Commissioners needs to do their job. All this money that we need, $300 million isn't enough. Almost $200 million isn't enough. We need more, guys.
5 years, Pitts said
66% increase.
The sheriff needs to stick to managing the jail and stop blaming the Board of Commissioners every time there's a crisis at the jail.
Today, Strategic Security Corps said they had no choice but to pull security off of their posts at doorways, entrances, and guard towers after they said the sheriff had not fully paid any of their balances since their contract started last July.
Every right to collect what is owed to the company. It's that simple.
This is not the first time the sheriff has allegedly failed to pay one of its contractors. In May, Talatrix, a company that provided health monitors to those detained, filed this lawsuit against Sheriff Labot for breach of contract. After that lawsuit, the board voted to revise county code, limiting the purchasing power of elected officers, including Labot, so that expenditures must be approved by the county. Last month, the sheriff told me he was insulted over this action to tighten his purse strings.
Because you can't manage the budget. Come on, dude. Like, you've been in office for enough time to get this right, Labot. Come on, man.
Last month, the sheriff told me he was insulted over this action to tighten his purse strings.
Ultimately, it is 4 board members trying to control the sheriff. And I reminded them if they want to do that, they should have run for sheriff.
Pitts argued the board is obligated to oversee the sheriff's spending to protect taxpayers' interests.
Thank you,
This is just the
Rob
latest
Pitts.
in a long line of contracts. And stay tuned. I guarantee you there's more and more and more to come.
God dang. Boy, they're taking
And today we did
shots
reach
at
out to
each
the
other.
sheriff's office for an update on what's going on with security out here, including contract concerns. We have not heard back yet. Rob Pitts told me that he has not heard from the sheriff in the last 2 days. The security company told me today they have not heard from the sheriff. It is unclear when and who will pay this $1 million overbalance on this contract. Here outside the Fulton County Jail, Patrick Quinn, Atlanta News First.
Yeah, so they're up here playing victim. Fannie Willis is saying, oh, they need to give us our budget. We need more money. How? Like they have to babysit this guy to make sure that he's spending the money where it's supposed to be spent. And he wants to say he's insulted because there hasn't been any improvement. Come on, man. I mean, fix the doors. Can we start with the doors at least?
The Fulton County Sheriff now threatening to sue his own county over budget issues involving the Fulton County Jail. Sheriff.
This happened a couple months ago.
Sue his own county over budget issues involving the Fulton County Jail. Sheriff Pat Labot says he is giving county leaders until tonight to reach out to him. Atlanta News First, Patrick Quinn is live at 5 outside the Fulton County Government Center in downtown Atlanta. And Patrick, this feud is building as Labot tries to win another term as sheriff.
Tracy, the timing of this is interesting. Pat Labot is running to be reelected as the Fulton County Sheriff. Of course, that election's on Tuesday, but ahead of time, he's more focused on suing his own county. He says he doesn't want to do it. He says he's doing it on behalf of the residents of Fulton County, his staff, and the residents inside the Fulton County Jail right now.
Without some agitation, peace doesn't always occur.
Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labot said he's suing Fulton County.
I imagine this is not something you want to do, a sheriff having to sue his own county.
I told y'all this gets crazy.
Labot gave the Fulton County Board of Commissioners a deadline of tonight to reach out to avoid a lawsuit. Board Chair Rob Pitts just told me he's not picking up
This is crazy.
the phone.
Do you plan on meeting his demands? Do you plan on communicating with him by the end?
Sorry, y'all. Hold on. Here we go.
To reach out to avoid a lawsuit. Board Chair Rob Pitts just told me he's not picking up the phone.
Do you plan on meeting his demands? Do you plan on communicating with him by the end of the day?
Absolutely not.
What's the basis for this bickering? The latest thorn, an outstanding bill for security contractors the sheriff says should be paid out of the county's coffers, not his own budget. But Labot said it goes beyond that. The county for months, he says, has limited his spending power to address the crisis at the Fulton County Jail.
And so this was an attempt by some of the commissioners to really choke out the funding lines. And methodically they did so.
Chairman Pitt said the sheriff is wrong, alleging the sheriff has plenty of money, 66% more than the sheriff had 5 years ago. Pitt said Labot is just mismanaging it.
We have a fiduciary responsibility to review and oversee how he's spending that money, and we're going to do that.
Labot rejects the 66% increase. He said the feud is fueled by his reelection bid.
It's been a political stunt by the Board of Commissioners.
Sheriff Labot, a Democrat, is not facing a Republican challenger on the November 5th ballot, but write-in candidate Charles Rambo wants this impending lawsuit dissolved, writing, quote, "The timing of this lawsuit is nothing but a distraction to foster voter apathy." Pitts told me if Labot wants to sue Fulton County, so be it. For Labot, it's time for a judge to step in to resolve their differences.
That's why we're fighting this through the legal means that we have, because we want to bring an end to it.
And Sheriff Labot says the county's been unreasonable to the demands of his department. Labot pointed to this election season alone. He says every time that former President Trump or Vice President Harris comes to town, the Sheriff's Department has to provide 50 deputies. He says that's cost them $10,000 each trip. It's already happened 9 times. Now we just wait to see if Sheriff Labot will indeed file that lawsuit in the morning. From downtown Atlanta, Patrick Quinn, Atlanta News First.
All right, shout out to Patrick Quinn. Like I said, y'all, this has been a back and forth that has been going on for years. So when it comes to progress, I get Fannie Willis and her frustration with maybe the budget, but they're making steps to move forward, right? Department of Justice is involved now. No time for slacking off. But the Board of Commissions has done what they needed to do. And also, Patrick Labot has had more than enough opportunity to make improvements. Y'all saw the increase. You saw the chart, over 66% increase. And now he's got another 300 million on top of that to do what he needs to do in Rice Street. I told y'all when I found out about this 300 million, no more excuses, because that 300 million is not their total budget for the sheriff's office. That is specifically for Rice Street. Be interesting to see what happens. Hope y'all enjoyed the rabbit hole. Wow. Let me go ahead and see what y'all are saying in these super chats. Oh my God. Shout out to Tracy Fegan with the 2 bomb says, where's the money for the grape kits, Fanny? So many cases backlog, nothing being done. Thank you for the super chat so much, Tracy. I appreciate you. We've got Nancy in here. Nancy says, check out Mender's story. He has another Rico. Oh no. Lord have mercy. He was also on the most dangerous list with Woody. Yeah. And it's crazy because you look at even his career as a football player. He had this seemingly a promising sports career, and then I don't know what happened. It just went the wrong way, hanging around the wrong people, made some bad decisions, and that's the story you hear too often. Thank y'all so much for the super chats, man. I really do appreciate everybody who takes the time to send the super chat and show support in that way. It means a lot to the channel. And I thank y'all for that as well. Thank you to everybody who's liked the video so far as well. I'm trying to find out if we're going to have a televised version of this hearing. It's looking like we might have it, but I'm going to try and look a couple other places and see what happens. Either way, I will keep y'all posted on that. What do we have in here? And shout out to Dr. EJ for all those memberships he gifted too. If I'm a betting man, I would think the reason why they wanted to keep Young Thug's money and so they could put back all the money these dummies have been seemingly taking for themselves. Where is all this money going? Also, shout out to Nancy with another one in here. With the 2 bomb says his bro is charged with threatening Labot. Oh my gosh. I didn't hear about that. I was trying to find what his other charges were, and it seems pretty quiet, but that's an interesting one. I'll have to look that up, Nancy. Thank you. The RICO needs to be charged against those particular Atlanta officials. I mean, they meet all the criteria. Yeah, y'all see they were dressed the same too. They stole my whole swag with the cranberry. Despicable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we'll end this live stream for now. If I see in the next 30 minutes or so that there is a live feed of, we're supposed to have Tanquarius Mender's final plea hearing. If I see a live feed of that, y'all make sure you stick around because I will go ahead and go live for that. So again, if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss when we go live or drop another video, so y'all can stay up to date on what's going on with this YSL trial and a bunch of other news. I also asked a question to y'all in the chat. I recently heard about this trial that's going on And I wanted to see if y'all think we should cover it. So it looks like the majority of you, 86% of you, said we should cover it. So I might have to get into it. Yeah, thank y'all for being here. Jacqueline Stallworth, last but not least, says, so if they have giving Fulton County 700 beds, can't they move the inmates there and start addressing the issues? No, they need more funding. Also, dang, again, Nancy with the 2-bomb says he's facing 50-ish counts on the other RICO. So sad to see, man. So sad to see. Samson says, I will be your boots on the ground in Detroit. Oh, shout out to the Detroit gang. It's real simple. Show what the money was spent on. I just don't understand how no one is digging into that. They've got it because the Board of Commissioners has been keeping an eye on it for who knows how long. Oh, we got some more love in here. Y'all are sending super chats like crazy. Thank you so much. Granddad Gaming with the 2-bomb says, know what happened with attorney's Fegan charges? I'm from the UK. So with her charges, I don't have any update on that. Let me double check and see, because the last I checked, those charges haven't been settled yet. And I actually had a couple videos I was gonna play for y'all when it comes to Miss Fegan. But you know what? If y'all want to get into it, we can. And shout out to the UK gang. Thank you for the support too. I appreciate you, Granddad Gaming. Hold on a second. Let me find, where is it? So the last I heard, those charges have not been dealt with yet. We've got, here we go. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to Nicole Fegan up here.
Another busy Fulton County court as more witnesses take.
All right, so let me find this real quick. And again, I don't have any updates. I want to see if her charges. We might just be here till 2. Let me see. Yeah, she's hilarious. Yeah, from what I'm seeing, Granddad Gaming, the charges are still pending. They haven't updated those yet. And if y'all don't know what Granddad Gaming is talking about, I can pull up some videos for you. I know I said I was about to leave, but y'all are showing so much love, man. I can't get out of here. Y'all showing love like that. Nancy here as well with the €5, excuse me. Says most of the charges were no prost against the others in the RICO, so he could be walking. That's true. But the stuff that, not the RICO though, oh, his pounds. Okay. I should have stuck with what I initially said. I don't know. All right. Thank you, Nancy, for the £5. I'm gonna get it right one of these days. But with the RICO, I don't think they're gonna let the RICO go on the plea. That's the thing. So would they give him time served? They'll drop the gang activity, drop the telecommunication device and the weapon, and then time served in what? 10, 15, 20 years probation? I mean, I don't know. I know. And some of y'all are coming back to the stream like, dang, he's still alive? We're still alive. Oh, man. So if y'all want to find out what's up with Nicole, we'll have a quick refresher while we're waiting for this trial to start, and then I'll see if we're gonna have the live coverage of Tinquarius Mender's hearing. Here we go. Shout out to Nicole Fegan. I need to change my title. Hold on. Let's say what? Then Oh, why is it looking like that? To Nicole. I can type, I swear. Let me make sure I spell her last name right. And also shout out to, we've got Violet in here. Violet has been a member for 1 month. Thank you so much, Violet. Says, sometimes I wonder who's in charge, the devil or the law. Ooh, yeesh. That's a rabbit hole we definitely don't want to go down. So if y'all aren't familiar with what happened with Nicole Fegan, this story is absolutely crazy. As Judge Glanville said in a previous video, she seems like a great attorney. A lot of the people who have represented her have been very happy with what she's done, but she ran into some issues during this YSL trial. And of course, Fannie Willis was all on it.
Another busy day in the Fulton County Court as more witnesses take the stand in District Attorney Fannie Willis's disqualification hearing, what her father told the courts about the death threats against his daughter.
But first
at 4, authorities have arrested a criminal defense attorney on charges she told a murder suspect to throw away evidence. Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News at 4. I'm Christine Spiro. Fox 5's Tyler Fingert has been working on this breaking story throughout the day today. Tyler is live now with more. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Christine, good afternoon to you. One of the defendants who represents one of the attorneys representing a defendant in the YSL gang case is now in trouble herself, and I've learned that she faces a gang charge herself. This is Nicole Fegan. She was arrested today in Gwinnett County, stemming from a September 2022 deadly shooting in downtown Atlanta, not far from Centennial Olympic Park. Fegan is not accused of shooting anyone, but Atlanta police say investigators learned she contacted a suspect in the shooting and told him there was a warrant for his arrest. Investigators say she learned about that during a court hearing related to the shooting. Police say she told the suspect, who they aren't identifying, to dispose of his phone as police were going to arrest him. Detectives say Fegan was not representing the suspect that she called. She faces 2 charges, participation in criminal street gang activity and solicitation to tamper with evidence. Fegan represents YSL defendant Tanquarius Mender. Besides Fegan, police have also arrested Keontae Davis in this case. It's unclear if he's the suspect she called, but officers took him into custody last February after he was pulled over for rolling through a red light. This is body camera video of that arrest. Davis is accused of taking part in the deadly shooting, which went from an argument to gunfire. 1 person was killed and another was injured in that case. He faces at least 2 charges, including murder. Back out here live, we have been working to get her arrest warrant, but so far we have not gotten that. We're going to continue to follow the story and bring you the very latest coming up on Fox 5 News at 5 and 6. We are live in downtown Atlanta this afternoon. Tyler Fingert, Fox 5 News.
What a major development there. Thanks so much, Tyler, for the latest.
Nicole's out there putting in work in the streets, man, trying to save her people. Oh my God.
One of the lawyers in the Young Thug RICO case, Nicole Fegan, is all over social media celebrating her big legal wins.
I don't know about y'all, but I really do this. I'm proud of myself.
But now Fegan is the one who needs a lawyer after being arrested and charged in connection to a murder case. We have the details. I'm Anjanette Levy, and this is Crime Fix. Nicole Fegan is probably best known for representing Tanquarius Mender in the Young Thug RICO case. This was Fegan in court with Mender, who goes by Nard, back in December of 2022.
This time, though, he still maintains a not guilty plea.
Sure.
Respectfully rejects the offer, and we announce ready for trial.
Now, we haven't seen Fegan in court during Young Thug's trial because she had her client's case severed from the main case. Fegan actually got in some legal hot water last Friday when Atlanta police picked her up on charges of participation in criminal street gang activity and criminal solicitation to commit the offense of tampering with evidence.
Come on,
Police
Nicole.
claim Fegan contacted a suspect in a shooting that happened in September of 2022 and that suspect was not her client. Police say Fegan told the suspect he had warrants out for his arrest and then went on to tell him about information that she had learned during a hearing related to the shooting and that the suspect should get rid of his phone.
Dang, y'all want your lawyer to be like this? I mean, that wasn't even her client and she had this guy's back. I don't know. Is that a plus or a minus for y'all? Let me know.
Atlanta police say Fegan committed a crime when she did that.
It's
But
crazy.
attorney Renee Rockwell told me that Fegan maintains her innocence and actually posted a $40,000 bond on Friday night, so she wasn't in jail all that long. I contacted the office of District Attorney Fonnie Willis. At the time of this recording, we had not yet heard back. Fegan's Instagram account shows her often celebrating her court victories. Sometimes
That's what they say. She's
lip-syncing
good.
to rap songs. Other times, she's just sharing memories.
You know, there is nothing better than when you walk out of the gas station and somebody be like, "Are you Nicole?" And you know, real the world I live in, I don't even be one to claim myself sometimes. But then when he's like, "You might not remember because it was a long time ago, but you got me out of jail," that makes me feel good.
Fortunato Perry is no stranger to high-profile cases involving rappers. Fortunato, thanks for coming on. I want to ask you just right off the bat,
It's
your
too
first
funny,
impressions of the charges filed against attorney Nicole Fegan.
Well, it's certainly a shocking development, but I'm the kind of guy who I don't like to rush to judgment. I'd like to take a look at whatever it is that the prosecution will be relying on in this case against the attorney. It sounds like they've charged her with being involved in gang activity, which is a bit much from what I've seen in this situation.
It's not much. It's not a bit much for this DA's office. So, I mean, we're not surprised.
Certainly there could be an issue of whether or not she solicited an individual to either obstruct justice or fabricate, mess with the evidence in the case. But again, without knowing what they're relying on in the prosecution, it's kind of tough to assess whether or not they can get a conviction on these charges.
Yeah, it certainly is tough. And we
highly
should
doubt
mention,
it.
we've been working, and we tried even last week to get a mugshot of Nicole Fegan. We're trying to get the probable cause documents. It's a holiday, President's Day right now, but they've had a cyber attack on the system down there in Fulton County, Georgia. So it's been very difficult for a while now to get even a mugshot or court documents out of Fulton County. It's interesting to me. She's representing a client in this case. She learns of information in a preliminary hearing. So she's not representing the guy that she
There's still no
calls and
mugshot.
says, "Get rid of your phone." So if you're a lawyer, Fortunato, which you are, and if you're a lawyer on this case and you learn of information in a preliminary hearing involving this shooting, and you call somebody and you're like, "I was just in a prelim and I heard some information," you might want to get rid of that cell phone you've got. And then the guy gets rid of his cell phone. Are you committing a crime if that's not your client?
I don't even think you can tell your own client to dispose of evidence in a criminal investigation. Now let's take that to the next step of someone who's not your client. I don't think it's a problem necessarily telling an individual that you have knowledge that there's a warrant for their arrest. You maybe just want to communicate that information.
It's not
maybe
illegal.
She has some relationship with this person that is not an attorney-client relationship, but maybe she knows him and wants to say, "Hey, you know what? I heard that there's a warrant out there. You might want to contact law enforcement and get yourself in and processed on the charges." But to take it the next step, that you're telling someone to get rid of evidence, I mean, that's a crime under any circumstance. And that's why I kind of want to know what the evidence of that activity is. Because if you're just going on the guy who she told that had the warrant and to dispose of the phone, if you're just going by what he's saying, I think that's problematic for the prosecution, because you're going to have a guy who's trying to get himself out from under what looks to be a shooting or some other serious criminal activity, and maybe he's just trying to throw somebody under the bus to help himself.
Yeah, and it's just a difficult situation because she's an attorney. You just can't say things as an attorney, or you run into problems with the bar from a legal aspect. As an attorney, there's certain things you can and cannot do. Just like being a medical professional, you do have certain your standard is a lot higher than just the average citizen. So anyway, we'll have to wait and see what comes out of these charges, because everything is still pending right now. So we don't even know what's going to happen to her. Either way, let me know what y'all think. And again, big shout out and love to everybody who's still in here showing support. I haven't seen any updates when it comes to this hearing today. So what I'm going to do is we're going to end this live stream. Again, y'all make sure you're subscribed and you have the notification bell hit so you don't miss if we go live a little bit later. And of course, if y'all are interested in hearing some music from the independent artists in this community, make sure you tune into the Song of the Night live show tonight, right here on the Classy Beats YouTube channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be giving away some cash and you get a chance to win just for showing up to the show. So looking forward to seeing some of y'all there. Hopefully you have a great rest of your afternoon. And if we don't go live for this hearing, or if this hearing isn't broadcast live, then we will be back here tomorrow morning with some more updates. All right. I appreciate y'all. Have a great day. And as always, keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We go. Peace.